Hey everybody, welcome back to a new week of the Daily Drive. Wherever you're at in Eastern Kentucky, I hope you have an incredible day as we jump into the month of March. This week, I want to spend some time looking at a few different stories in Mark chapter 7. At the beginning of Mark 7, Jesus is questioned by a bunch of legalistic, self-righteous men who are actually criticizing Jesus and his followers because they're not living according to the traditions of what they call the elders. And so let me explain that. In their day, they had God's law, and then they had the traditions of the elders. And they called those traditions of the elders the Mishnah. Now, you need to know that the Mishnah was probably created with good intentions, but over time it got straight up ridiculous. These people were so serious about keeping God's law that they created the Mishnah, and they called this the fence around God's law. And so here's what would be a modern day example. If you're driving and the speed limit is 45, these guys would create a new tradition that said you can't go over 35. That way, if you slip up and go a little fast, you still haven't broken the law because the law says you can drive 45. And so these people created all kinds of crazy rules to keep people from breaking God's law. In fact, the Mishnah was about 186 pages of extra rules. And so here's a real example from the Mishnah. God's law says you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath. He wants you to have one day a week where you can enjoy rest and worship. So the Mishnah would try to define what was actually considered work and what was not considered work. And here's how silly this got. R. Kent Hughes, a New Testament scholar, said the rabbis actually debated about a man with a wooden leg. If his home caught on fire, the question was, can he carry the wooden leg out of the house on the Sabbath? Because at some point, carrying wood becomes work. That was a real conversation for the guys who created the Mishnah. Now, Jesus looked at these guys, and he thought they were being ridiculous. In fact, he called them hypocrites and said this: "These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." Now, I hate to say this, but I think we're more like these guys than we care to admit. I think a lot of us have gotten really good at playing the game, acting the part and saying the right words and even doing the right things. But Jesus' point is we can look the part, say the right words, and do the right things, but if our hearts are far from God, then there's a real problem. So as we wrap it up today, I want to ask you a question about your heart. Is your heart far from Jesus, or is your heart chasing after Jesus? I'm not asking you to be moral. I'm not asking you to look good and act good. Because Jesus' point in this story is he cares more about your proximity to him rather than your performance for him. He wants you to stay close to him and have a heart for him so you can have a right relationship with him. So I want to close with a prayer that comes out of Psalm 139, verses 23 through 24. The psalmist wrote this: "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is anything wrong within me, and lead me to the way everlasting."